Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And okay, sure, here's some more spooky stuff, more horror related content I want to talk about, folks. Oh, definitely, because it's the month of October, so I'm just going to be doing nothing but spooky, eerie stuff the entire month. Granted, I probably would have done it anyway, talk about some spooky stuff, but this is October, so this seems more of an excuse to continue this kind of thing. This is my favorite month of the all. So okay, I'm going to be reviewing the fourth and final entry of this series. Yes, the Spanish version, of course, I'll be talking about. And of course, like I said quite a few times already, I don't necessarily need to have subtitles or whatever because I've already understand the language, so there's no really no language barrier to this kind of a thing. Anyway, so I just figured to just talk about this, and since I already talked about the other series, the other part of the series, so here we go, I reckon. Yeah, it's more spooky stuff. Hip hip hooray. Anyway, so of course, thank anybody for had time for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. Anyway, like always, let's talk about the damn plot, shall we? So here we go. Anyway, and it gets pretty crazy. It's pretty much like the others, where stuff would just get wild, of course, pretty gory, bloody, and all that jazz. Because there was this television reporter. Let's just say she was rescued from this quarantine block of flats in this place and is taken to this oil tanker to be examined. Okay. However, yes, there's a however, it is unknown to the soldiers that she may be carrying the seed of this mysterious demonic virus. So, of course, it just gets wild, wild, wild. Yeah, the special forces team is sent to this apartment complex to rescue this reporter, as was saying a moment ago, and destroy the building. Following the attack by affected firefighters and residents, the team's survivors pretty much complete the task, of course. And then the woman they were rescuing wakes up on a ship. Yes, wakes up on a ship, really. So, okay, I don't know what made the directors, the producers, or whatever think that would be a good idea to have like this whole ship thing, and then just be this crazy shit with the virus and all that jazz. Okay, there's that, I suppose. Even though the most of this would take place in a ship, but it still feels like a claustrophobic kind of a thing anyway. Yeah, which is impressive in itself when you think about it. Yeah, because it's a big ship and whatnot. What puts me into mind is okay. I don't know how many of you have played that one Resident Evil game that pretty much mostly took place in a ship kind of thing. Yeah, I immediately thought of that when it comes to this kind of a thing. Like, okay, I know I'm not saying there's some kind of a correlation with this and the movie or anything. I'm not saying that, but I just find it kind of funny because it had more of a Resident Evil vibe towards it than the actual live action versions of the Resident Evil movies. I don't know how that makes any sense, but there you go. I reckon it really puts me in the mind of the one game which is supposed to be all gloomy, it's grim and whatnot. I mean, okay, it's one way to inflict fear, I guess you can say, because there's only so much you can do. I mean, the characters. I mean, there's only so much these characters can do on a ship. There's not a whole lot you can actually do on this kind of a thing. So yes, of course, it's gonna be severely limited on what they can do exactly. I suppose. So I'm guessing that's the kind of vibe they're trying to go for, where all these characters are gonna be in danger in some shape or form and whatnot. And that's, I mean, sure, that's one way you can do that. Sure. So okay, obviously as often the case when it comes to like these zombie invasion type movies, of course, about 99% of the supporting cast serves as a way to, I guess, do a thing. And of course, there's going to be some kind of security duty type characters to attack the zombies and whatnot, like you might expect, of course, that's in there. And that being said, the film's characters are everything you can see. And yes, in some extent, you can say that they're mere pawns for like this floating bloodbath. Just get it, a ship on water, floating bloodbath, get it. Anyway, as often these types of stories tend to be, I guess, right about there. You see where I was expected just to see this kind of a thing. And yes, of course, you expect me just to rant about this kind of thing. It seems kind of typical, and to some extent, maybe it is. Yes, maybe it is when it comes to this kind of thing. You've seen these kinds of stories be played out before. To some extent, it's no different, really. When you think about it, it's kind of the same old to some extent. But anyway, I mean, don't get me wrong. The people who are behind this, the actresses, the actors, and all that, they summon a really good way to do this kind of a thing when it comes to this kind of storytelling, trying to blend in this kind of crazy atmosphere kind of thing. And the acting for the most part, the acting from especially from the main actress, she does a really good job. She does a really good job. She's not just there to be a dancer in distress or whatnot. The main actress does a really good job. She's probably my favorite actress in the whole story when it comes to this movie. So she does a really good job there. She's not just there, oh help me, I'm in trouble and whatnot. That's still a good thing. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff you might expect when it comes to this infected type of thing. When it comes to like military kind of a thing and whatnot. That's of course that's gonna be in there. And like it is in when it comes to like the zombie type stuff that you might expect, sure. But yeah, that's definitely in there, obviously, when it comes to this scary storytelling and whatnot. And the film does attempt to, of course, have like this atmosphere type of tone, quite obviously. That's fine, I guess. I don't think there's something wrong with it. As long as there's a good way to to display this kind of a thing, as long as does it probably make it eerie, make it spooky, there's like blood and guts all over the place, of course. And just like make it really disgusting, as you might expect when it comes to these types of movies. But yes, that's kind of the feel. It's just on a ship. It's sometimes like it's just on a ship kind of a thing. Obviously, all these characters, all these people, they found themselves as prisoners on board the ship. Of course, it's definitely his thing. And I don't want to spoil the whole plot. Of course, let's just say that. But the people who do a really good job of the acting, they really nail the roles into this kind of thing. They make it feel grounded. They make it feel realistic, even if to some extent, of course. But one thing is that, folks, I would definitely say is if you're planning to watch this movie expecting it like a return to the first two movies, yeah, I think again, as that as may be, for those people who pretty much lost faith in this horror series, yeah, in this saga. But when it came to number three, I mean, when it came to part three, a lot of people had a mixed bag, maybe I guess. But for this one, it kind of stands its own thing. This kind of stands like its own kind of thing. Really, what's the other movies we're kind of doing anyway to begin with? But I would definitely say that this is definitely is worth a watch. It's definitely worth. I thought it was a better installment than third movie, of course, and I was thinking that would be definitely a good thing. I mean, okay, it doesn't really. The final chapter in this series doesn't quite recapture the fear of the original movie, the very first film, like that it instilled in people when it first started. But the director of this entry of the series, Sony Lee, achieved the prime tension, the scariness, the atmospheric tone. It definitely sends this saga off with the mighty gory bang. Might as well just end it with a bang. And I don't mean that just literally either. So I guess that's something. I suppose. Sure, whatever. I don't see why not. There you go, I guess. Anyway, so why I still think the first entry of the series is still the best one, but when it comes to the sequels, however, this was a pretty solid movie as a whole. I can see there was like a lot of good makeup effects, a lot of great stuff to look at, of course. The makeup effects are actually quite good. I'll definitely say that, of course. Obviously. So there was that. So the makeup is really good, of course. You can tell that this film definitely did had a pretty decent budget to it. This film definitely had a pretty decent budget throughout the entire thing, so you can really tell. So there was that. As to the fact that with the way is choreographed. It doesn't look too bad either, the way it's choreographed, and as it should be. And the one thing, this is my pet peeve when it comes to a lot of these critics. A lot of these critics assume that just because it's violent, just because it's gory and whatnot, they assume that it's going to automatically be amateurish. They're going to just assume it's just going to be really, really childish, really juvenile. I mean, okay, in some cases that's true. In some cases, they're not wrong about that. But it's just too much of a hasty generalization. I'm getting at. It's just too much of a hasty generalization when you think about it. It just depends how it's used. That's the way I look at it. It depends on how it's used. The blood and gore and all that. I mean, yes, in some cases it does seem kind of excessive. In some cases, in some movies, sure. Not in this one, but in some movies, yes, it could seem excessive. Sure, it just seems kind of cartoonish to some extent, but not in this one, folks. It's just used in the right amount. I just find it weird that some people out there just can't get past the fact that it's bloody, it's gory. It's automatically bad. Oh, it's too violent, too violent, too violent, too violent. It's so gruesome, it's too violent, blah, 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 blah. You just can't get past that. Which, yes, I do think it's very shallow. This is a very shallow perspective because they just automatically assume. When I say they, I mean the people who criticize these kinds of movies in a stupid way. Is that they just automatically assume that it's going to be trash, it's going to be garbage, just based on that alone. It's somehow going to be bad for society. They don't look forward to that. As it stands, the story itself, though maybe a bit cliched, maybe, but it's fine, it's serviceable. But people do have to keep in mind that the storylines for these movies that tend to be somewhat simplistic, I guess, which could work depending on execution. All right, let me just wrap it up. I was just rambling on for a good second here. But anyway, all in all, this was well produced, even despite the fact that the budget here wasn't exactly the best. The budget here was not exactly the most grand thing ever, but the budget, it's fine. A lot of these movies, a lot of the horror films that tend to be low budget anyway, so I guess it's whatever, I suppose. It happens. Anywho, so it's definitely worth a watch. It's just one of these things where you don't necessarily have to watch the previous three installments. I mean, you could, I guess, even because of the fact it takes place in the same universe, but you don't necessarily have to watch the previous three to understand this one. Anyway, I'll give this a Novaval rating of a 6.9 out of 10. It's a 6.9 out of 10 for me. So as always, thank you for watching and take care. See you.